Welcome to Save As Ability, a podcast to educate and inform you about disability employment issues. My name is David D'Arcangelo, and I'm your disability policy expert. Hey everybody, great to be back with you, David D'Arcangelo, for another episode of Save As Ability. So we keep building our audience. We appreciate you, but gotta say it again, please subscribe, comment, like, share, so we can continue to keep great content flowing for you. And we've got a guest today, a great guest. And many of the guests that we've had before have been more administrative, more like, governmental or big, large organizations. Today, we're going a little different tact with our guest. And we have somebody who's very hands-on, who's working with people with disabilities and their families on a day-to-day basis. So we welcome in Melissa Goodwin. Melissa, hope you're having a great day.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
So selfishly, we're going to talk about, we've talked about my daughter, Isabella, before here on Save As Ability. She's right in the next room interning for us here at Archangel Communications. And many people know that Isabella is autistic and on autism spectrum, ASD, right? I think you call her diagnosis ASD, PDD, NOS, some other thing. So Melissa is a Board Certified Behavioral Analyst, BCBA, and licensed and everything else. So you're very much on the front lines here, doing building blocks, right? Applied behavioral analysis with people on the spectrum and their families. So I'd like to talk to you today about what can we do to make sure that all of our people with autism are having an opportunity to be upwardly mobile, acquire the skills they need to enter some type of employment or vocational environment in their future.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think we're very fortunate to have a lot of great companies out there that are hands-on and in the home and working with families. Our schools are doing a fantastic job in some areas as well. I think that where we are lacking right now is in some technology advancements. And I think that we need to start training up our next generation, our kids and some of our adults that are autistic. Maybe they have other disabilities as well. Maybe there's aphasia involved, stuttering involved. There's all types of communication disorders. And I think really our next step is to start looking through the lens of how can we best start a foundation of a population who can communicate what's inside. Right now, they are sort of utilizing a host of different technologies to communicate. Some are using sign language, some are just using symbols. But really, how is Isabella communicating right now? With some scripts and with some shortened phrases that she and her speech pathologist and her family have worked on tirelessly, right? So I think it's really time to take the next step, which fortunately, America, the world, is in a great place right now to do that, right? We have all sorts of amazing technological advancements. And that is my major push right now with all families is how can we get, and that is most BCBAs and most speech pathologists and most teachers push and priority is communication. Let's get that going first.
It really is. And from day one, Isabella is seen over at the Lurie Center, which I'm sure you're aware. So we're blessed here locally to have great resources. But it's communication. That is the number one thing, because to be able to get to the other aspects of autism, you need to be able to find out what's going on and communicate. So tell me some of the keys, though, in this technology advancement. Is it the iPad? Is it like, what are we talking about here so people can have an idea of
let's
techniques?
Give some numbers first. You're much better at this, Dave. But some numbers. We have about 17 to 34 million people with communication disorders out there. Okay, so 17 to 34 million people. And as you know, that can range. That can range from completely mute, unable to hear or speak, to, maybe they just need some assistance and some technology to help push them forward. Out of that, let's go with the low number. Let's just talk 17 million. These people may have communication disorders, but that doesn't mean they have a cognitive disability. That does not mean that they are not operating at the same level as everybody else. And I think in your recent episode, you said, hey, let's talk to your strengths in your interview. But what if you can't talk? So let's really kind of talk about how can we get that message across if we're unable to express thoughts and ideas. Working hands-on for all these years, you learn that there is so much more to everybody. And even, I think there's all sorts of rock bands that talk about if you listen, then you can hear more than what, is going on out there. So we have to really bridge the gap between what is being the communication disability and the companies, what are they providing for accommodations, right? Because reasonable accommodations are ADA. That's the law. They have to. What's going on right now, and it's really just the time. We can't be upset with how it's gone because the communication devices that are out there now are called high tech. They used to be low tech, where you'd have a board with some symbols on it.
Text board.
Yeah, you press the button and it says something. Great. They've come up with some more programming and software now that, it has a host of vocabulary, as much as you can dream of. It's all in there. You just have to dig around and find it. So now you're dealing with somebody who has to express a thought, but first has to go to the nouns and the verbs, and it's all categorized very differently. Versus if you talk about, I'm going to say it quietly because she's in there. She listens all the time. She has what's called natural language processing. So we have the two versions of natural language processing and the old version of high-tech communication. We need to bridge that gap because right now what we're doing is we're handing a paper and pencil to a person in the job as their accommodation versus handing a computer and a printer to a job as an accommodation. You see that analogy? It's archaic at this point. How can we expect the same? So that's sort of where I am.
Well, tell us a little bit about what families are thinking, right? Because when you're new to the diagnosis, the last thing you're thinking of is, well, how's little Jill or Johnny or, why do we care about employment right now? We're just trying to get them to communicate.
Right.
But really, it is important to be able to say, no, that should be one of the goals, is being in that environment, right?
That is the building block. Right? That's the building block to everything is communication. That's what sets us apart as a human race, is that we can communicate thoughts and ideas in a more civilized and advanced way, that we can create culture, that we can have inventions. All of these pieces are based on being able to express what's inside. And right now, in the past, it was worse, right? In the past, we had nothing. We just had sign language and we just had picture symbols and single button static boards. So now we have layered boards. We have ProLoco, we have LAMP, we have all these really great features. And I've had the opportunity to work with almost all of them, right? Because it's great. When you're a speech and in special ed and as a BCBA, you get to see how they all work. What's missing and what the parents are thinking right now is it's so cumbersome. It's so hard. How can I ask, little Billy to say what he needs when I can't even find the button? So it's, you get a nice little iPad and it has 100 buttons right on the screen, because how do you pick the right words? It's extremely difficult. So, I think that what we need to do is, I've been working tirelessly for many, many years. I started this in my undergrad work of how to find vocabulary, and I've created a nice little prototype actually that talks about taking language samples, about using all this AI that advertisements are getting right? So you talk about going on a trip and all of a sudden your phone starts showing you, cruises. That's a real algorithm out there. And we should be using that,
we can use that for the benefit of people with autism. Well, that's a great segue as we begin to wrap up here. Tell our viewers at home how they can get involved or find out more about that, or MGC Consulting and the great work that you're doing if they want to work with you.
Excellent. Yes. If you want to work with me, I would love to hear from you. I love hearing stories. One of my favorite things is working with families because everyone has so much to offer and everyone's done it a different way. And I'm working on, I have a spot fund out there for my little programming. It's called Isaac. And maybe we can put the QR code or however
put
those
it in the
work.
description.
Yes, we can do that. So essentially, my program will utilize real-time communication, and it'll make it beneficial for people to apply to jobs. It'll make it better for them to learn in the classroom. And then we have all of these famous people emerging again. Like, back in the day, Walt Disney had dyslexia. He was unable to do things. Imagine if he had just stayed in that little piece. Well, let's give them the avenue. So go to my spot fund. It's looking for liftoff. We just need to take off and try to advance technology through, actually what's kind of fun is that it's through gaming.
Excellent.
So
it's engaging that way, and it's kind of intuitive. Well, that's great.
Yes.
Melissa, thank you so much for the work you're doing. We appreciate you. And like I said, we'll put the links in the description so you can connect more with Melissa. But thank you, Melissa, again, for joining us. Great having you. Keep up the great work. We appreciate you all. Please, again, like, comment, share, and subscribe. Help us build our channel here. Great being with you. David D'Arcangelo, another episode of Save Visibility. I hope you have a great day. For more information about disability employment issues, please visit our website, disabilityemploymentsolutions.com. The Save As Ability podcast is available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, our YouTube channel at Disability Policy Expert, or wherever you stream your podcasts. Subscribe, stream, rate, and review our shows. Your ratings and reviews help our show reach new audiences. Produced by Pod Pro Entertainment. Save As Ability lives within a network of podcasts located at podproentertainment.com. #TheNewRadio. Again, my name is David D'Arcangelo, and I'm your disability policy expert. Until next time, thank you. I hope you have a great day.